a woman in a yellow dress just sitting there underwater. I'm like, okay, that's stupid. Like, okay, why is this ghost still here? Like, do ghosts swim? Like, shouldn't they just be floating? Like,
Driveby Movies, you're watching
fresh releases.
My name is Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking the film The Deep House.
What is that?
The Deep House came out in 2021, and it's about a couple of YouTubers who specialize in underwater exploration videos, and they discover a house submerged in the deep waters. What was initially a unique finding soon turns into a nightmare when they discover that the house was the scene of atrocious crimes. Trapped with their oxygen reserves falling dangerously, they realize the worst is yet to come. They are not alone in this house. So, hold it right there. Like, that first sentence was already pretty interesting right there. That's a great concept. There's a lot of different horror routes you could have went. Then we had to go into a haunted house thriller. We'll get into my thoughts on the movie. Blaze, how did you find out about this movie, and what made you want to check it out?
So I think originally I heard about this movie because I think it was on, I forget what streaming service. It was on a streaming, like Hulu maybe. And now it's just seemed to, since it's taken this long for us to check it out, I think it premiered earlier in this year on streaming services. But since like the past couple months, it seems like it's almost been on every streaming service for just like a couple or a month at a time. But now it's finally landed onto Amazon. So it's available there. I think it was also on Paramount as well. But it was one of those movies where when I heard about it, I was like, whoa, this like seems like such a wild, like you said, the premise is so wild. For me, this movie, even just watching the trailer, seemed like a technical feat. So I definitely wanted to check it out to see how it was done. And I mean, it definitely seemed like something that had never been done before. So I definitely felt like we had to check this out for the show. Being that fresh releases, we always try and check something. Maybe if it's not the newest thing, it's something that we might have missed within the last 5 or so years. So this is only from last year, but I think it did actually come out this year onto most streaming services as well as video on demand. So yeah, we checked it out. I have to say, this is like one of those movies that's a technical marvel. Most of the time I'm just like, how the hell did they film this movie? It's so crazy. But I did feel like it's just shy, I think, of 90 minutes. And it did feel like it started to peter out after the technical marvel kind of lost its steam.
Right, that's absolutely it, because I was enthralled. The characters weren't that likable from the intro, but once we get to the underwater aspects, I was just like, how the heck are they doing this? Like, they build this under like a underwater tank or something, or is there an actual house that they shot at underneath the lake? I have no idea. I want to watch the special effects, or the special features on what went into it, but it looks beautiful. And I almost like want to recommend it just for people to check out, just for how amazing it is. Like, because there's a lot of movies we've checked out where it might take place in a forest. Just the first one that comes to mind, movie nowhere near similar, but Safety Not Guaranteed, a movie that I enjoy, but I always remembered that, like, why does this movie not have good cinematography? It's shot in great locations. It should look so much better. And this is what you should be doing. Like, they're shooting on GoPros, and they got such crazy forest shots, crazy underwater shots. Like, you can do so much with the film and like the proper planning, and they really did that with this movie. So I, absolutely applaud that aspect of the movie. But just the story, like, I wish they went in a few different directions. Like, if you wanted to do a haunted house thriller, they easily could have did it being like a haunted house underwater. But just overall, I guess the scares that they went for and the overall like premise was just way too dorky and way too contrived, and a lot of, once again, just way too much just dialogue on just explaining everything that happens. We're sick of that and stuff. And but yeah.
So would you prefer then that if this movie was just a house that once you get into the house, maybe there's no water in there?
No, I liked that aspect, and I liked that there was like a time limit for the movie, almost to make it feel real time. The movie's not in real time, but I like that they kept checking on their air tank levels. Like, oh, we're at 80% right when they're like, slowly starting to like get deeper into the house, and then as things get worse and worse, they're at 40%. And I really liked that aspect, and it being underwater the whole time too. But I guess just overall what I meant was like the scares, like just seeing like bodies around the corner following them or chasing them, it just came off too dorky and stuff, and I was just like, the hell is like a weird horror film of like Aquaman or something like this. I guess just like I would have preferred if it, like, as much as people hate like Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch, those movies scared us for what we don't see, and I think that would have went a long way for an underwater movie. Have a door open underwater, or that was closed earlier. That's scary as hell.
Someone was trapped inside the house.
What was that?
Have maybe a shadow just swim by in the background. Have a couple things open on their own. Weird things just fall or float out of nowhere on their own. Like, just those little things could have been so much more scarier, and probably would have like made me feel way more uncomfortable than turning around and seeing a woman in a yellow dress just sitting there underwater. I'm like, okay, that's stupid. Like, okay, why is this ghost still here? Like, do ghosts swim? Like, shouldn't they just be floating? Like, I don't know. There's too many weird things like that. So that part was just almost like laughable for me. And that's what was like holding this movie back from being a really good movie, because it's so brilliant. I feel like Shudder like would have like really pushed this movie if it went in that direction too, and would have bought it, and this movie would have been a way bigger hit. But I think this is why we haven't heard about it, because it's just a dull haunted house found footage movie, but just the technical stuff is what really makes it worth talking about, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that first, I feel like it's maybe 50 minutes is really what like is just operating on all and firing on all cylinders. It just was so, it seemed tight, like you're saying. It has everything there, like, oh, there's a time limit. It has these little elements, this creepy driver who drops them off at this lake location, and then even the intro, like I liked them exploring these kind of urban exploring YouTubers that check out haunted sites. I absolutely love that premise. I thought that was really cool. It reminded me of something like another, I think we watched on Fresh Releases, Gangnam Haunted Asylum. It reminded me a little bit of that. Had those fun elements of a found footage movie, but this film is also not just a found footage movie. It is shot with scenes that are not, the cameras that only the
right.
filmmakers own. So it has like this nice blend of found footage as well as like a theatrical narrative film. So I like that element. And then when they get to the water, it kind of goes fully found footage, because there's just this drone camera that's following them. It's like this underwater drone, kind of like scuba drone that they call Tom. I think I think if I remember correctly, that was his name. And then also their little hand cams they have, and I think that's about it, like those 3 or 4 cameras. And I think it operates really well until about like there's this one scare that like I think is more along the lines of what you're saying, where it's pretty subtle and it's really creepy, and it's like, did I see something or did I not? And then after that, it goes to these ghosts that, like you said, they just kind of like float there. They don't like swim. I think they only swim at one point, but it's just kind of like really clunky with the divers being in scuba gear, and these ghosts just like floating around without scuba gear, but not really like making enough sudden move. I don't know. It's just, like you said, it's a little weird, but the technical marvel that this film is it's absolutely incredible. I was just like, the whole beginning, I'm just like, how did they make this? Like, this is just insane.
Yeah. Like, this is the kind of movie where like you probably could have made a 1-hour documentary or a whole separate documentary film just about what they had to do to get this done, because I assume they didn't have a crazy crew down there. I assume like, it was just the 2 actors, maybe 2 people underwater with them at the same time as well too. I mean, It's possible there was more, but I assume they kept it at a minimal effort. But it works so well in that aspect. And you're right. That first scare where like Ben, the main character, sees like a body behind like a bed, like those like nettings around beds, like, and he's like, oh, there's something behind there. And then when he opens it, there's nothing there. Like that was a good scare. And then them discovering the two bodies inside that like secret room in the kitchen that they find, like those are good elements. Like you can show us stuff, but just like they just got too much to, like I was saying, the exposition that they went on to with just like the guy luring them there, he's related, and I'm just like, okay, so he's related to the family that died there. Why is he luring people back? Is he like I don't know, like you gave us so much exposition and now I need more exposition to understand why everything is the way it is. But just like the idea of like the projector working underwater too was just a little too much for me. Like of course the whole concept is ridiculous, but that's where I draw a line at some point, and that's where I drew the line.
I mean, let alone like I think one of the parts that we probably both found kind of irritating was just the fact that Ben gets essentially possessed by the house and starts just exposition. Like as soon as something possesses you, it just possesses you to exposition dump the audience into like everything. Even though, how did you figure this all out? As soon as you got possessed, you knew everything, and you need to let the audience know everything that you know now. So it just does that kind of like cliche thing that a lot of movies, not even just horror movies nowadays, where they just got to dump all the exposition, even if it doesn't make sense why a character would know everything that they do. But I guess once you're possessed, you know everything nowadays. So yeah, I just feel like this film really just petered off at the end and really loses all the steam that it has going. The awesome kind of setting that you really like and draws you in about the film just kind of gets boring, sadly.
Yeah, and you're right. Also, earlier on when you were just bringing up the concept, like I liked them being YouTuber influencers, you know, go into these places. But I just wish they made them a little bit more likable. Ben sometimes comes off like Logan Paul trying to film all these dead bodies and exploit them. He's like, no, we can't go to the police. We need to, you know, film this first and release it online before they'll take it away and stuff. And that seemed like that reminded me of the Logan Paul situation, just anything to get views, I guess. But like I guess like if you're gonna make him that unlikable right there, like they wish they killed him off in a better way. But instead, you know, kill off the one character who's nice and is just trying to have fun and just, you know, almost makes it, but nope, she drowns. Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Like if you're a horror fan, like I don't know, I guess more if you're like a film aficionado into like cinematography, like go check this out. Like you're gonna love this. But I can see a lot of like horror enthusiasts not enjoying this. Maybe some casual horror fans enjoying this one, and also just maybe regular people might not watch horror. They might enjoy this movie too, but just it's got script problems overall. I'd say that's mainly the one specific issue with the movie.
Let alone, I think the thing we didn't mention, you know, spoilers, you pretty much made it towards the end of the video, but I do feel like the ending is just, it's not that it's just a bummer, it's just there's nothing there, basically. Yeah. So it's just like, okay, cool. All right, yeah. Film's over, credits roll.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he sacrificed the two of them to his dead family. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I missed something, but maybe we'll get a sequel. Apparently, when I was reading more about it, there was an end credit scene, but I did not watch the end credit scene. God. But yeah. Bummer, though. 2 bad horror films 2 weeks in a row. This is still a step up from Choose or Die, though, for sure. But what are your thoughts on the movie? I mean, it's highly possible you have not seen this movie, so I recommend checking it out on Amazon Prime. Another way to help support us also is by watching it through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below. Be sure to do that and come back here and tell us what you thought about it in the comments.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And be sure to catch all our social media links down below in the description box. We got Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.